What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, NVIDIA, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward and other factors involving the markets, and why tomorrow is going to be a very important day as we have the PCE data report coming out. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. The offer ends in just 4 days, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, now let's talk about the market. So, in my earlier videos, I mentioned to everyone that the market was going to likely see a bit of a dip towards that 570 area before we see a bounce. That's very close to almost exactly what ended up happening. We bounced so far off that 570 support, and now we're testing resistance. So the question is there going to be more upside for SPY from here, or are we about to get this big rug pull? I'll be talking more about this in just a couple of minutes because it's going to depend on PCE data. So I'm going to talk first about PCE, then I'll talk about the charts afterwards, but PCE is going to be key. So as far as PCE data goes, just know that this is another version of CPI, and the Fed does have a tendency of prioritizing PCE. When it comes to research about the economy and what they look at, the Fed does tend to look at this a lot more, and this is going to affect monetary policy. So what are we looking at for tomorrow? Tomorrow is going to be Friday, September 27th, 2024. 1 hour before the market opens, we have the PCE report. I just want to say it's going to be key. When this comes out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, an hour before open, we have core PCE coming out month over month. We're expecting 0.2%, the same as what we saw before. And then for PCE for all items month over month, we're expecting 0.1 to 0.2%, the same as before, essentially. And then maybe a little bit lower. And then for PCE year over year, we're expecting 2.3 to 2.4%, a slight decrease. And then for core year over year, we're expecting the same thing, 2.6 to 2.7%. Same thing, if not a little bit of an increase, but everything should be fine, in my personal opinion. So in my opinion, it's very important to look at CPI when kind of deciphering what this could look like, because CPI does determine PCE. Later on during the day at 10 a.m., we also have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment data for inflationary expectations. So look for volatility at that time too. But anyways, going back to PCE, if we get a hot PCE, if everything's well above expectations, that could cause a rug pull in the markets tomorrow. If everything is decent, the market could try to rally again. Now, the last time we got something similar was CPI. CPI was aligned with expectations for all items, but for core, that was a little bit flat. So that makes me think that for tomorrow, most likely PCE year over year is going to be fine. All items PCE month over month are going to be fine, but core month over month should be a little bit flat. And then I'm a little bit concerned about this one, core year over year. This might be a little bit flat. It is possible it's like 0.1% above. We'll have to wait and see. But this is going to most likely be kind of flat. So we'll see what kind of reaction we get. But if core is flat and everything else is below expectations, that could still be bullish for the markets. The market could still like that data. So we'll see how it goes. Now, the market currently thinks there's a 50-50 chance of us getting a 50 or 25 basis point cut. If we see the Fed responding in a different way, this could also shift. When PCE comes out, if it's hot, this one would start going up a little bit more, and then this one would start going down, signifying that the Fed may not be as lenient as many people were thinking. And if we get a decent PCE, this is going to go up a little bit more, and this is going to start going down. And that's going to signify the Fed has a better chance of giving us a 50 basis point cut. That's what the importance and significance of PCE is. It's going to affect monetary policy. The fear and greed index is currently at greed. We're very close to the extremes as we're seeing a lot of buyers defending the markets. Momentum is still at extreme greed as the S&P 500 is higher than before, and it's continuing to hit these extremes. The puts and call option ratio is at extreme greed as we're seeing a lot of puts being closed. A lot of call buying has been happening for the last couple of days. That does not necessarily mean the whole option chain is going to shift for tomorrow, but it does tell us that there has been more call buying. And then volatility is also decreasing. The VIX is still at a very, very low level. We'll have to see if that bounces or not. But so far, that's what I'm seeing, at least in terms of our indexes. Now, when it comes to other things, I just want to mention that for tomorrow, we have a little bit over 270,000 of these calls expiring, and we have over 980,000 puts expiring for a 3.54 put to call ratio, with 568 being our max pain. This suggests to us that there's a lot of shorts expiring, so we'll see what the market makers try to pull. The last time we got an expiration like this, the market was very choppy. That happened last week. So for tomorrow, I don't expect the same thing. I think we're going to be very volatile for the first hour because of PCE. And then towards the end of the day, the market may slow down and volatility may decrease because of all the options, all the options expiring, excuse me. Lastly, we have Costco announcing its earnings. They did relatively well, but it wasn't really enough to get the share price up. So they missed on quarterly revenue, but their overall earnings were still not that bad. So it was still so overall, but they did miss on revenue, which is why the share price is down. They did mention that they're trying to cut costs, however, despite the fact that they gained quite a bit. They are still trying to cut costs as revenue came a little bit short. They're trying to increase the prices of their memberships, unfortunately, and they're trying to take a lot of measures to decrease those costs. Guidance was so I'm not really seeing a whole lot for Costco, but it is down just a little bit after earnings came out. That's the big one that came out for the week. Anyways, that's it for my analysis of all these different economic pieces of data. Now let's just focus on what the charts are telling us. So on SPY, I just want to call out that the 4 hour is looking bullish because when you zoom out like this, check this out, guys. This is very important. We broke past the green 20 EMA right here on the 4 hour time frame. We broke past this, then we started to push upwards, right? We bounced off this, and then we went to the new all-time high, came close to it. We came down, bounced to the new all-time high, and we bounced again. So every time we hit this green line, we try to bounce. And notice what happened today. Okay, this is what I was predicting would happen. This would happen so far. We dipped down to the green line, our 20 EMA, then we bounced off of this. So this is a good sign that the buyers are still stepping in and trying to hold up the markets. So if we're bearish tomorrow, let's just say PCE data is a little bit hot, maybe core is above expectations, just hypothetically. We need to see this thing lose 570. If that fails us, we're looking for 568 as the next main support. If that fails us, we turn more bearish. We're looking for 565 and 563. So lose 570 to 568, we turn more bearish. If we hold this support and we start rebounding, there's going to be an attempt to get to the all-time high at 575. If we break that, we're looking for essentially 570. Basically, 577 looks very probable to me as the next target. 577 could be coming if we break that, and eventually new all-time highs. So which way are we going to go? Considering the fact that the CPI data was decent, I think that what's going to happen with PCEs, everything is going to be decent except core might be a little bit flat, but that might not be enough to really cause the market to dip. Because of the fact that we're holding so nicely, I think there's a good chance we might actually bounce thanks to PCE. So I favor us testing all-time highs at 575 to 577 for a little bit of a bounce on SPY. I don't know for sure though. It depends on the data. Of course, I'm not really a fortune teller. I don't know, but I do favor that just looking at the charts. For ES, this is another big one. ES is looking more bullish. This is the S&P 500 mini futures. This is important because look at the way it's riding this 20 EMA. When we touched this, bounced, touched it, bounced a million times. We're just bouncing, and we're holding this very nicely. If we lose 57.91 tomorrow after PCE comes out, we're looking for support at 57.70. If that fails us, we're looking for a rug pull back down to 57.50, in my opinion. If we lose this green EMA. If we hold this and we start pushing higher, I think we easily fill the imbalance towards 58.15, then eventually test the all-time high, 58.30, and even higher than that is likely coming. So I think what's most likely going to happen to ES is we hold support right here at the EMAs, and we try to rebound for that 58.30 plus area, start pushing up much higher. I find that to be more probable, so we'll see if that ends up being the case, but that's what most likely what ES is going to be doing. For NVIDIA has a nice inverse head and shoulders, a nice accumulation structure. This is looking more bullish, technically speaking, in terms of the trend. So we had this low here. We're making higher lows. We're doing a good job. However, whether we get the bounce depends on PCE. We still look kind of bearish here, so it could dip a little bit before PCE comes out. I could be looking for a retest of 122, but we'll see if we bounce off that because that's where our 20 EMA is going to be by tomorrow. If we hit 122 and bounce, if PC is decent, we're going to be looking for a test of these highs again. 125 plus is coming, if not the highs. And if we lose 121 to 122, we could be dumping back down to 118 if PCE is not good and we get a bad reaction. This chart is favoring that it likes to bounce. It likes to kind of like find a bottom and bounce, find a bottom and bounce. It's done this many times. So it might find a bottom here and try to bounce again. It might be trying to get to the lower 120s before it tries to bounce. That's the most likely case in my opinion. For Bitcoin, let's double check this. We look more bullish so far. So it dipped with the market only to rebound. And so far it's holding up very well. When you look at Bitcoin, we have a nice looking double bottom like structure on the overall trend. Is doing a good job. If we manage to hold above 65,000 tomorrow, we're looking for an attempt to get up to 66,000 plus. If we lose 65,000, we're looking for a dip back down towards 64,000. Let me just double check this. 64,500 around there. So if we're bearish tomorrow after PCE, we're looking for 64,500 followed by 64,000 flat. If we're bullish, we want to try to break the high for 65,000 to start pushing up even higher. My guts tells me this is going to try to break out higher. I think the odds are favoring 66,000 plus on Bitcoin, but we'll see depending on PCE. I don't know for sure, guys. It depends on the data. So we'll see. For Tesla, we dipped a bit. So we dumped all the way down to 252, rebounded to 256, and we closed at 254 on Tesla, only down 1%, which is not that bad. If we get a decent PC and if Tesla does not get bad news and it tries to bounce, don't forget Tesla's very news dependent. But if we do get that bounce, we're looking for basically an attempt to get back up to about 258 to 260. And for bearish, you want to see a test 250. If that fails us, we're looking for 248 then 244. In my opinion, the chart is dipping a bit. It's still a little bit weak here, but it is trying to base at the support around this 252 to 250 area. So we might dip a little bit during the pre-market tomorrow before it tries to rebound. And the odds do favor trying to bounce with the market to try to get back to the high 250s for 258. That's the most likely case, but we'll see depending on PCE. So we'll see just to be safe. For NQ, we look more bullish overall in terms of our structure. Why do I say that? Look at the green 20 EMA again. For many weeks, it's been touching this, bouncing, touching this, bouncing, touching it, bouncing every single time. And then today, the same thing happened. We touched the support, then bounced. So this looks like it wants to bounce. Now, if we were to be bearish, you want to see us lose 20,200. If that fails us, we're looking for 20,000 flat. If we hold this, we're looking for a nice push all the way up to this imbalance, taking us up towards 20,400, if not higher by tomorrow. Based off the structure and the fact that we're holding this, we're most likely going to try pushing for 20,400 or higher. But just to be safe, we'll see what happens with PCE data. But overall, there's most definitely potential in this. For the QQQ, we look more bullish. We're trying to hold support. So we're looking at basically this support right over here around this 20 EMA. So we touched this bounce, touched it, bounce all over again. I do want to call out, we have a gap to fill around this 495 area. So I think they're going to try to go for that gap fill. I think it's going to try to bounce and try to push higher for that. That's what I'm leaning towards on the QQQ. But just to be safe, watch your levels. So if we lose 485, we turn bearish. We're looking for 482, then 480. And then if we're bullish, you want to see a bounce off this and start pushing for basically 492 and then eventually much higher for the gap fill for 495. My gut tells me we're going to hold this and try to rebound and try to push for 495 or higher to try to fill that gap. I think that's the most likely case. So we'll see if that ends up being the case or not. For Aapl, we look more bullish. We have a nice looking accumulation structure. If we're bullish, you want to see it try to break past 229 or higher, and then we're looking for like the 230s. And for bearish, you want to see it lose basically 226.5 to start dipping for 225. With the nice accumulation right over here, we look more bullish. I think that 230 is very favorable. So Aapl may try to bounce. We'll see if that ends up being the case, but that's what I'm leaning towards for the 230 plus area. So we'll see. This looks like a nice accumulation in inverse head and shoulders. So 230 looks very favorable, but we'll see just to be safe depending on the data. I do want to mention we have a breakout right over here of this structure. So this looks a little bit more bullish to me. We'll see if that continues. Now, for the rest of these, for Palantir, we're kind of weak here. We're kind of consolidating, so it's showing some weakness compared to the market. But I do want to call out the fact that it's basing very nicely. Now, if we're bearish after PCE, you want to see it lose 36.5. If that fails us, we come down to this imbalance towards 35 flat. If we bounce, we're looking for 38 plus to fill this imbalance above. We're in the middle. It's completely indecisive as it was very flat, so it's just waiting for PCE to get the reaction. So it could go either way. This does, however, make me think it might try to bounce since we're holding our 20 EMA. So maybe we go up to 38, but we'll see just to be safe. For Supermicro, we had some bad news, which is why this dumped. Unfortunately, the technicals did not pan out with the inverse head and shoulders. So it's still very, very weak. We saw this dump, and it's not a good sign. We're going to see if we can try to hold 400 tomorrow. If that holds, we're looking for a rebound for basically 420. If we don't hold 400, we could be dumping back down towards 380 all over again. Technically, it's very weak, and that could trump its reaction to PCE. We had a very, very big dump today, and it still looks kind of weak, so I think it might dip a little bit lower. But just to be safe, we'll see. Rivian is trying to base right now. If we're bearish, you want to see us lose 11 to dump for 10.5. If we're bullish, you want to break past basically 11.6. We'll see which way we go just to be safe, so be very, very patient. For SoFi, we're just consolidating right now. If we break 7.85, we're looking for a pushback up for 7.96. And for bearish, you want to see us basically dip for 7.63. We've been trading sideways, but there is potential for us to try to break past 7.85, try to push up to this imbalance. So there's potential in SoFi to try to break past that resistance. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. For the IWM, we're also range bound. This is very indecisive. So all it's doing, guys, is it's stuck between these EMAs. Break 220, we're bullish, we're looking for 222. Lose 218, we're bearish, we're looking for 216 to 214. We're stuck in the middle, so we'll see which way we go, but be very, very patient nonetheless. For AMD, we look more bullish, just like Nvidia, but I do want to mention that we have a tough resistance close to about 170. So if we remain bullish tomorrow, we're looking for 170 plus. If we're bearish, you want to lose 165 to start dipping down to 161 towards the 20 EMA. But this chart is still favoring the upside for the 170. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. For ARM, we're also kind of range bound right now. We have basically this 150 area as our resistance. If that breaks, we're looking for 152. And for bearish, we're looking for a break below 145 to start dipping down to 141. We're forming a nice accumulation, so this could try to bounce off the 20 EMA, start pushing for 152. So I think this might try to push for 152 tomorrow, but that depends on PCE. For Coinbase, we look more bullish. We have a nice accumulation right over here. If we lose 177 tomorrow, we could be dipping back down to 172. If we keep going, I'm going to be looking for basically 180 and 184 as our targets. That's where we have these resistance levels. I think 184 is likely coming. It looks more bullish to me, but we'll see what happens with PCE. For Amazon, we're dipping a bit. We're barely at resistance. So Amazon's in a very, very critical place. I think very close to 192 is going to be a key zone. So if we lose, if we don't break past 192, we could reject and dip back down to 190. But if we're bullish, when we break past 192, we're looking for a bounce. I think we easily go up towards right over here, this 193.3 area, if not 195. We're in the middle, so we'll see which way this goes, but there is potential for us to try to bounce if we break the resistance at 192. So we'll see how well Amazon does. This is going to be very dependent on PCE. There is potential for this to try to bounce as we're holding supports, but it's going to be a tough resistance at 192. We'll see if we break that. It's kind of indecisive. For Meta, we look more bullish because we're holding our 20 EMA. So we keep holding this green support, the same one I was talking about on like SPY and the others. So if we lose 563.37, excuse me, guys, 563.37, if that fails us, we're going to be dipping back down towards the 556 area. And as long as this holds, we're going to be looking for a rebound for 575. This looks to me like it's trying to bounce. So I think 572 and 575 are potential targets, and it might try to bounce. For Microsoft, we're trying to rebound. If we end up failing to hold 432, we're looking for 429 as our target. And if we hold above this, we're looking for a big push for 435. The chart looks more bullish, so I favor upside on Microsoft. Google looks indecisive. So this one's kind of tricky, guys, because we have a head and shoulders like structure that's developing, but it's still holding up. So it's stuck in the middle. If we lose 163, we could be looking for 161.8. And if that fails us, we're looking for a rug pull. If we break 165, we turn more bullish after PCE. So it could go either way. I'm in the middle with Google. We have a head and shoulders, so just be careful. So we will see. They don't always pan out. Sometimes they're just tricky. So give this some time to develop. Could go either way depending on the level we break. TJT pushed all the way up very, very nicely, but now it's struggling to hold 13.92. If we break past that again tomorrow, we could be looking for 15. If we don't break past that, we could be tipping back down to this wick towards 13.23. So we'll see. It could go either way. The VIX is trying to rebound. We're trying to see if we could break past 15.83. If that breaks, we're looking for a push. If we reject, we could be dipping back down towards 15 flat. We're kind of stuck in the middle, so give this some time. The 10-year is going to make a big move depending on what happens with PCE, so we'll see how that goes. I'm going to be very patient with this one because I don't think it's affecting the market like how it typically does, but we're going to be very patient nonetheless just to see how this ends up looking. The last thing is the dollar. So the dollar is in a very interesting place. I was talking about how it was at resistance yesterday, right before Jerome Powell's speech. The GDP numbers came out decently and everything was quite decent. So after Jerome Powell, announced what he announced, we saw the market gap up and then dump, whereas the dollar basically rejected off 101. So if we are in a bearish phase for the dollar, you want to see the dollar fail to hold 101.5. If that fails us, we're looking for 101.2 to be retested all the way down here. If we're bullish, we try to bounce, we're looking for basically 101.7 to 101.8 to be retested way up here. So we'll see which way we go as we're just range bound. But because we're range bound, I think we have to be very patient with this. I really think we could go either way. So it really depends on what kind of reaction we get tomorrow. The dollar is kind of like in the middle, so it shows the market could go either way. However, based off technicals and based on what I'm talking about, I think that the odds favor the market trying to bounce. It looks a little bit more favorable for that. It's looking at the setup. Just to be safe, considering the market could be full of manipulation, excuse me, I think that you always want to be open-minded and you want to be paying attention to your levels just to be safe. But this chart still favors upside for SPY, the QQQ, and the others, and that's looking more and more likely for tomorrow. So we'll see. I'm not a genie or a fortune teller. I don't know what's going to happen in the future for sure with PCE, but I do think that looking at the charts and the fact that CPI was decent the last time it came out, there's a good chance that PCE should be decent and the market could bounce tomorrow after the report comes out. All right. So with that being said, thank you all so much for listening. Have a good day, night, or evening, wherever you guys are around the world. I just want to say that I really appreciate you guys for your attention. I'm going to be back tomorrow before the market opens to report how PCE is looking. It's going to be very pivotal for the way the market moves. And until then, I hope you guys just take care, and I will see you guys very, very soon on the next one. So the market looks bullish for now, but make sure you watch levels always to be safe. And then remember, as day traders, this is primarily what this channel is about, more for like trading, looking at intraday price action. Always be very, very patient in a market like this, and don't force entries. You always want to be patient and wait for them. That's the best thing I can really say at a moment like this. So, see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for listening, and peace out.